Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Haley Estes. If you do not know me, I blog at themountainviewcottage.net and I love to share DIY projects with you guys. This is my very first Christmas DIY project of the season and my very first ever Christmas video tutorial. So I'm excited to share with you this DIY advent calendar. It's of course farmhouse inspired because you know I love everything farmhouse inspired. So stay tuned, I'll show you step by step how to make this calendar. It's super simple, you guys. So even if you don't feel like this is you've never done a DIY project before or you're new to this kind of thing, that's okay. This is a great project for anybody. Just keep watching and I'll show you how to make your very own. First, you'll need to start out with several 8-foot by 2-inch furring strips. You can get these at your local home improvement store. They are less than $1 a piece, making this project super affordable. For your cut list, you're going to cut 2 32-inch pieces and you're going to cut 12 25-inch pieces. Then you will assemble them as shown in the very far right diagram, with the 32-inch pieces going vertically and the 25-inch pieces going horizontally. And you're just going to secure those with a nail gun or a hammer and a nail, whatever you have on hand. Once your frame is complete, how you finish it is totally up to you. I decided to go ahead and stain my wood pieces. Actually, before I even assembled them, I used a Minwax stain in the color Dark Walnut, and I let that dry for at least 24 hours. 48 is even better. And then I painted over a very whitewashed layer of chalk paint using the Amy Howard chalk paint in the color Bajas Buff. And then I went ahead and used a sander to go ahead and sand it and make it look really rustic and more farmhouse. Now that your frame is done, it's time to make the bags. I used a drop cloth from the home improvement store. You can find this in the paint section at Home Depot or Lowe's. And I didn't even wash it before I did it. I went ahead and used my sewing scissors to cut a 12-inch by 6-inch piece of fabric, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how I created the bag. I fold over the top piece and I sew along the edge, and then I fold it in half, making sure that the piece that I just sewed is on the outside, and I sewed along the edge and the bottom with my sewing machine. Once I've finished sewing, this is what the bag looks like inside out. I've sewed both of the sides and I'm just going to cut the corners of the bottom of the bag off so that it lays a little more flat and the corners look more precise when I flip it right side out. So we're just going to flip it right side out. Once the bag has been flipped right side out, I'm going to take some yarn. I got this just at Walmart, and I'm going to take a thick needle and I'm going to thread the yarn through the needle. Then I'm going to use my needle and thread to thread my yarn through the very top little pocket that we made when we sewed over the top edge, which is the very first step to our sewing, so I can get it in through that little pocket using the needle. Once I've threaded it all the way through, you should have a string that hangs out of each side of your bag at the top on either side of the seam that you sewed. And I'm just going to go ahead and create little knots at the edge of the string just so that it doesn't slide on through when I bunch it up or pull it back out. Now it's time to add the stencils to each of the bags. So once you've made 25 of these bags, you're going to cut out some vinyl using your silhouette machine. And I just did the numbers 1 through 25, but you could just do the 12 if you wanted to. Just do the 12 days of Christmas. You're going to pull off the backing of your vinyl and place it on the front of the bag, making sure it's centered, and you're going to really press the vinyl down. And then you're going to pull off the transfer tape, and you have your stencil ready to go. And I just used some very simple black matte paint. You could use craft paint from the paint store, which is like 98 cents a bottle. And I just kind of stippled it onto the bag. The reason that I stippled it, going up and down motions, is so that it doesn't really seep through underneath that stencil. That way you don't have to seal it. It makes it look a little rustic, but it also looks nice and it doesn't look really sloppy or anything like that. Once the stencil has sat on your bag for a few minutes, go ahead and just peel it off. Make sure that it's not wet and it doesn't transfer to the bag. And you are done. Just repeat for however many numbers you want to make for your advent calendar and let them dry. Now you're gonna lay out your wood frame and all of your little bags, and you're gonna kind of just roughly place them on the slats and get a feel for where you want all of them to go. I simply just laid them out. It's kind of rough, it wasn't perfect, and then I just used a pencil to kind of mark every spot. And I used some very tiny little nails. They're only like an inch long and they're super thin. And I just nailed those right on into the boards, and I tied little knots at the top of all the bags and hung them on all of the nails for the advent calendar and hung them that way. So nothing fancy. You could use command hooks if you wanted to, but I figured since this was a really rustic frame anyway, little nails and hooks seem to fit the theme a little bit better for my purposes. And here it is, all complete. There are endless things that you could put in these bags. You could put little candies, you could put little scripture verses, whatever you want. You can make it super special for your family at Christmas time. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you leave. I will also have a very detailed blog post linked in the description of this video detailing all of the products and supplies that I used to create this advent calendar. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.